Have you already heard the word data today? Raise your hand in the chat if you have. I actually mean it. Raise your hand in the chat if someone around you said the word data in the office or during a Zoom call. And let me guess, you either raise your hand or you rolled your eyes because you can't hear the word data anymore. Everyone is just talking about data and data and data all the time. Data is the rage in the product management world these days. Everyone is talking about data and everyone knows it's important. We feel, however, that as a community, product managers don't discuss enough how to do data product management the right way. And so many questions go unanswered. Questions like, what's the difference between a data product manager and just a product manager? What's the difference in responsibilities and goals even between a data product manager and a data scientist? And does every company need a data product manager on the team? But that's okay because we've got you covered. This Ask Me Anything session today is all about data product management, so you'll get all the answers you need. Hello, leaguers, and welcome to today's Ask Me Anything session, the place where talented and curious product managers just like you get all the answers they need. And today, as you already know, it's all about data product management. By the way, nice to meet you. My name is Maria Cassis. I'm the founder and general manager of Product League, and we help you to become the best product manager you can be. Product League is an international mentoring program for product managers by product managers in 30 countries all around the world, from Australia to Nigeria. And today you are going to meet 3 of our mentors because they're going to be the people that will give you the answers for the questions that you want to know everything about. So we want to get to know you better. Want to know what is on your mind and heart when it comes to data product management. So please use the chat. Let us know who you are, where you're from, what you do. What are your questions when it comes to data product management? And these awesome, magnificent Product League mentors that will join me in just a minute will give you all the answers you need. And now we've got 3 talented, dedicated, and experienced Product League mentors to answer all your questions, big and small, all your wonders about the domain of data product management. Let's start. Okay, and now, leaguers, let's welcome our first panelist live from Mumbai, India. It's Siddharth Varshney. Siddharth Varshney is a business head of the Research Discovery Product Suite at Cactus Communications and Product League mentor. Siddharth is a passionate, impact-driven product leader with an 11-year track record in building, launching, and scaling digital B2C products. He has led product teams and launched products impacting the lives of millions of consumers in various domains. And we are so happy to have you here with us. How are you today, Siddharth?
Very good, Maria. Thank you for the warm welcome. And hello, everyone joining in from various parts of the globe. Pretty excited to talk about this interesting topic. Maria mentioned that data is the rage in the product management space. A lot of people say data is the new oil. So a lot about data product management is doing the rounds, and happy to answer some interesting questions and discuss with the community.
That's the spirit. Thank you very much for joining us. And we'll be back with you in just a minute because we have some more mentors to join us now. And now, get ready to learn from Gabriel Steinhardt, live from Tel Aviv, Israel. Gabriel Steinhardt is the founder and author at Blackblot Product Managers Toolkit and Product League Mentor. He is an author, lecturer, and the developer of practical tools and methodologies. He's a developer, as I said, of the Blackblot Product Manager Toolkit, which is a product management methodology and a globally adapted best practice. And we are so happy to have you here. What's up?
Hi, everybody. Thank you. I'm very pleased and happy to be on my first AMA. I'm quite excited and unfamiliar with this event. I hope we'll be able to provide a lot of information, useful information, and answer all the questions. So thank you for having me on this event.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm sure it's going to be a very valuable and insightful session. I can't wait to learn from you, Gabriel. So thank you very much. And now, last but not least, get ready to learn from Elliott. Andrew Elliott, live from Utah, United States. lead product manager at Attentive, and product league mentor, of course. Andrew is an experienced product and people manager and former startup founder with a demonstrated history of creating high-quality products. Wait a second, something is moved here. High-quality products and experiences for both B2B and B2C segments. And I am so excited to have you here with me today. So what's up? How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited. I think we've got a super great group of folks here, and I've already seen some questions come in. Sounds like we've got some smart folks in the audience. And like Bara said, please keep those questions coming so we can make sure and get you all the expertise that we have to offer here from the group of three of us.
Exactly right, Andrew. Thank you very much for that. I don't think you need me here. I can think you just, be the host right now. I can just leave. So thank you very much. And that's exactly the spirit, because we've got so many great questions, and more are coming. So we are going to give them the answers that they need. And exactly for that, I'm going to bring your colleagues here to the stage with us. So guys, how is it going to work? When you, the audience, RSVP'd to this event, we ask you, what is it on your mind and heart when it comes to data product management? Ask us anything. From those questions, we chose the questions that we thought are most interesting, those that were somewhat repetitive, so we knew that many of you actually care about them, questions that we think that will make you the best product manager you can be. We already took these questions. We are going to answer these questions right now, but we don't stop there, because we want you to ask even many more questions. So please use the chat wherever it is that you watch us right now. Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, wherever it is, click the like button, okay? Submit your question in the chat, and this magnificent 3 product league mentors will give you all the answers you need. Andrew, Gabriel, Siddharth, what do you say? Are we ready to start?
Definitely so.
Yes.
Let's do it.
That's the spirit. Thank you very much, all of you. And now we're starting with a question that is assigned to all of you, okay? It comes from Leon, and he is asking, what is data product management to you? This is a brilliant question. This is exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to make this, buzzword everyone is using, and we're going to be very practical, so everyone will know how to do better product management and better data product management tomorrow morning. So who wants to start? What is data product management to you?
I'll let my colleagues go ahead, please, and I will go last.
I can go first.
Are you planning something?
No, nothing at all.
It's getting interesting.
I can also go first if you wish.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I just wonder. Yes, Siddharth, the floor is yours.
Good. So yeah, I think data product management, I think the word speaks a lot. If we were to treat product management as more of a generalist kind of a role, then this is a bit of a specialization within that generalist role. So for a data product manager, data is the product, and everything that the data product manager does has this at the center stage. So it's not just using data to build the design of your product, but essentially you use data across the product life cycle, use it in every workflow that you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Andrew, what do you have to add?
Yeah, I think I would tend to agree with most of what you mentioned there. I think, like you said, data product management, while data itself is a very old, seasoned kind of domain, I think data product management is one that's still maybe finding its legs a little bit. I don't know, maybe that's controversial, maybe it's not. So you might find a little bit of a few different answers depending on who you ask. I think I would typically agree with you, Siddharth, there in terms of it's typically a specialization, in my opinion, from my experience within product management, where you're going to be using data within the product lifecycle to either help other teams, help your team in terms of using data as the product itself, but making sure that also you're the point of contact there in terms of understanding how data is used throughout your product, whether it be within your own team or across multiple domains within an organization.
Okay.
Spot on. Thank you very much. And what are you planning for us, Gabriel?
I'm not planning anything, but I'm thinking all the time. So let me set it's not going to be long, but let me set the backdrop to this. I believe that the principles and fundamentals of product management are consistent and universal among all products. So when I see some kind of a modifier or some kind of qualifier in front of product management, such as B2B product management, B2C, or data product management, from my perspective, they're either talking about the characteristics of the market, like B2B or B2C, where the products that product management produces are going to, or they're talking about some kind of an impact or specialization in product management, but in product management. So having said that, I think that there's three variations floating out there in the market with regard to what data product management is. The first is that data itself is the product. That is, somebody at a research firm selling you a database of contacts or whatever. So that is one version of what could be data product management out there. The second thing is that the product manager relies heavily on making decisions based on data, usually from products with a digital interface like a website or some kind of a mobile application, in order to make product decisions. And this is as opposed to making the decisions based on intuition or experience or anything else. So that's the second variation that could be floating out there. The third is really a product manager with data literacy skills. That is somebody who is knowledgeable with data, knows how to use it to communicate with the people who are managing the data for the product management people. And therefore, I don't think that there's really anything in the like data product management. It's probably one of the three things that I've just mentioned.
Super interesting. We've heard many things here. We just started and it's already interesting. so that's good. That's a good thing. Thank you very much, three of you, for sharing your thoughts with us. But we don't stop here because, Siddharth, we are back with you. Sean has a question to ask you, and he's asking, what's the difference in responsibilities and goals between a data product manager and a product manager?
Very interesting one. So I think we had some points mentioned in the first question. But if you look at a traditional product manager, all product managers use data, right? Every good product manager is data driven. But if you look at where product managers use data, typically it's in some decisions, but specifically when you are setting your OKRs, looking at KPIs, you're building your roadmap, that's where you use data more or less as a raw material, right? So that's a fulcrum on which everything is standing, right? But then when you look at a data product manager, as we said, right, data is a kind of a product, right, for him, right? He has to think about data, build upon things on data itself, and whatever the offering comes out in the market and what he's leading is all on data, right? So it requires slightly different mindset to treat the technical things. Like your mindset has to be AI driven. You have to really believe in the power of data science, AI. You have to understand that these data products have very unique requirements of their own. Machine learning based features, how they're developed, is slightly different than a conventional product in a way, right? So that's why I mentioned that slightly going towards a specialization route, right? But another interesting element to this, if you were to distinguish the two roles, a product manager thinks about feasibility, viability, and desirability. These have been things that have been long talked about in the product space, right? And let's add another element to it. If you have to talk about data product management, let's add datability to this as well, right? It then increases this, this set with the knowledge, the skill set in the field of data, the understanding about what data can do, the potential, and how that integrates across the product. So datability is the fourth element which comes in when you talk about a data product manager. And obviously slightly different mindset, more details, and goals also, as we've slightly discussed, right? And Gabriel very well elaborated that you may be you may be looking at data as a product, selling it to somebody else. You may be looking at decisions all around happening with data, or Andrew said that you may be the custodian of, let's say, the data culture in the company. You may be the Spock. So
Exactly.
The goals and all are very different in that way. So yeah.
Spot on. I like everything, how everything you say, guys, comes together into one message. That's fantastic. And Andrew, are you ready for a question from Finn?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. That's good because he's here to ask you what's the difference in in the responsibilities and goals, not between just a regular product manager, as we asked Siddharth, but between a data scientist and a product manager.
Yeah, it's a good the question that was just previously asked. I can answer this from my experience, and I'd be curious as well, Siddharth and Gabriel, if you have any additional experience here. But from my experience, if your company is working with, has the ability to have someone who's specifically titled as data product manager, which certainly not every company has the luxury of having. Often in my experience, that's going to be someone who's much more focused on essentially using data to derive, user outcomes, right? As opposed to a data scientist who may often be asked to look well beyond, customer focused outcomes. If you're looking specifically like in the product development lifecycle, their acumen there may be a lot more far afield compared to what a data PM would be, more focused specifically on, product development lifecycle and user outcomes there. Specifically, you may, like we mentioned a little bit in kind of that first question, a data PM compared to a data scientist may be asked to assist other product teams in terms of, creating a data story, or even in the case that Gabriel mentioned, like the data could be the actual product itself, in which case the data PM would be the one who may be a little bit more responsible compared to a data scientist in terms of generating the story for that and making sure that, in that example, that the data that's being used as the product is something that's actually going to be, advantageous and provide value to the user, as opposed to a data scientist who may be more, in my experience at least, maybe a little bit more behind the scenes in terms of crunching some of the numbers, making sure that pipelines are up to date and those types of things.
That was a brilliant answer. Thank you very much. Andrew, Gabriel, Siddharth, I'm following the call to action from Andrew, and I'm asking if you have anything to add.
I think a very small bit, just to summarize that. And I think Andrew talked about the data scientist being acting behind the scenes and, helping out in building the right products, right? If you combine the core expertise or the passion of a data scientist around machine learning, AI, the data in general, right? And add in the elements like customer empathy and problem solving, which you have in a product manager, then you're getting towards a data product manager role.
Okay, this is becoming really interesting because everybody here has a different perspective completely. So let me give you my perspective about it. First, we need to understand very briefly about what data science is. The web 1.0 started as being very static. Then web 2.0 came along and you could interact with the products, with the websites. And that interaction created masses of data. And in order to get meaningful information from that data, they were looking for something that they called data mining. The problem was that the algorithms that were not developed. So when algorithms and computer science and all kinds of things developed, then we got something which was called data science, which is really the combination of data mining plus computer science. So data mining plus computer science data mining plus computer science is data science. So what exactly is a data scientist? Having said all that, a data scientist is somebody who's extremely knowledgeable in mathematics, statistics, and computer programming, and things like that. These are people who know to approach with algorithms and mathematical and statistical tools the data and extract from it meaningful information, insights, and present that to the product manager, who will use that information to make product decisions. So that is, I think, is the difference between a data scientist and a product manager. A product manager makes decisions based on information derived from data that a data scientist, through the use and understanding of all those things, were able to extract from this big, huge database.
This is what I love so much about these sessions, because we are now building the structure, right, of product management, because this is somewhat of a new domain, let's call it this way. So many things are just building up right now, and we have to discuss these things and, to kind of like build thesis and methods and understandings around that. And by bringing different people, all product professionals, but with different experiences and different points of views. This is how, by combining and assembling all your thoughts together, this is how we can truly create a community that knows what its values and has something to follow. So thank you very much, all of you, for sharing your thoughts with us and know-how, because Gabriel, we are staying with you. And Jonas has a question to you, to ask you exactly right. Don't be surprised. And he is asking, as a data product managers works closely with data, would you say that this product management role, data product management role, it best suits product managers who prefer to work inbound and with the least regular communication with users and customers? So we are discussing the misconceptions of product management and data product management, and I'm eager to hear what you have to share.
Okay, so I think this is a question a little bit unrelated. I'm speaking like a politician. They said that's a great question, but the real question is, and then they go and they answer something completely else. But I really do think that this is a little bit unrelated to product management. It's more about being an introvert and an extrovert. But what Siddharth said previously is that as a product manager, you have to rely on data, whether that data comes from interviews, any type of data comes from is the product or the output that comes from research, focus groups, surveys, data collection, interviews, whatever. So you need to rely on data. I think that this question presumes that you're primarily relying on digital data collected from products that have a digital interface. That, I think, is going to be a problem because over-reliance on digital data excludes intuition and experience. And I just want to mention something. Apple had an agreement with Goldman Sachs to issue a credit card. The algorithm, and I don't know if it's Goldman Sachs or Apple, gave women a lower credit rating and credit limit than men. Now, whether the algorithm was right or wrong doesn't matter over here. That was a complete disaster, and it sparked an investigation for discrimination. So if you over-rely on data, and you're constantly thinking about data, and you exclude ethics and information, intuition, experience, and social issues, you run into problems. So whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, you like to sit in front of the computer, that's fine. Maybe it's a balance. You can do it 80% of the time, but 20% of your time, you need to open up, force yourself, and talk to people, talk to the customers, to the users, and think about the implications of the data-driven decisions that you're going to make.
That's right.
Definitely.
I love it. Yes. Someone wants to add anything? Okay. I love what you just shared with us, Gabriel. Thank you very much. And now the question that I find most interesting of all, for now, we don't know yet what is coming next, but we have a question that comes from David, and he's asking, can you share a recent real-life example from your work experience where data won the argument and helped the company reach new heights? So some cases from your experience where data was so meaningful, where it brought the company to do something in a different way that is actually a better way. Who wants to start?
I have the opposite example where I relied
Go
on
ahead
the
and
data.
be the first one.
No, I don't want to be the first one, but I relied on the data and it was a waste of time and money.
That's also
It really
interesting.
was. It really was.
Let's start with you, Gabriel. Share this example with us, and then we move on to Andrew and Siddharth.
We invested in survey, collected a lot of information over a year. I'm speaking in generalities because of all kinds of NDA issues here. But we collected information from over a year. We interviewed people. We did statistically valid calculations. It was a go decision, and the return did not materialize in terms of, I know I'm speaking very generally, I cannot say more. But this is an example where I did all the right things and still the outcome was wrong. Now, there's no way to know if it would have worked or not other than try it. It's like matches. The only way to know if a match will work is to light it. So I had to light this match, and I don't know, maybe time has changed. Maybe I implemented things wrong. Maybe I didn't invest enough. It could be a whole different things. But what I do know is when it's successful, I always take the credit. When it's not, I always find something else to blame. That was a joke, but that's really the situation.
Perfect. Thank you very much for sharing this story with us, Gabriel. Andrew, Siddharth?
Yeah, I can give an example here. I think
Go ahead, Andrew.
I can give one that's maybe a little bit not anything to do with like ML or AI or anything crazy in terms of data, because I think it's important to also show that, like, to some of the points that we've mentioned before, like every PM, traditional or data PM or what have you, should have some level of data acumen, right? The example that I'll give is more one where I think data won the argument but lost the battle, if that makes sense. So what we were trying to optimize for, and I'll also have to speak in generalities, I apologize, but what we were trying to optimize for in a previous role of mine was getting folks basically at the top of a marketing funnel, right? So very, very basic, getting folks at the top of a marketing funnel to get them to opt in, and then down the road, convert them to a contract for enterprise customers. And what we saw with the data that we saw up front was that we make a handful of very specific changes to the way we were handling our marketing funnel on our landing pages and on our home pages, and that was going to increase our folks who are kind of coming at the top of the funnel by a double-digit percentage. That's what we hypothesized, and that's what we proved out. The one thing that we made a mistake on, and this is kind of where I mentioned, like, we lost the battle, we won the argument, or won the argument, is that we didn't necessarily take into account or look at the full picture of the data, and didn't notice that once we had those actually come in through the top of the funnel, the actual quality of those particular individuals that were coming in through the funnel was not as high quality as what we had before. And so we actually saw an increase in top of the funnel folks coming in, but a decrease in overall deals that were won at the end of the day. So in that case, like, data absolutely won our argument for the goal that we were set, which was increasing top of the funnel folks coming in through our marketing, but in that case lost the overall picture in terms of folks actually coming in and converting at the end of the day. So just an example there where we absolutely use data, we just maybe didn't use it as full picture as we should have.
And this is why data product management is not that easy, right? Because you have so many things to think about and consider. And even then, you can't be sure that will lead you to the right action and decisions. So yeah, thank you very much, Andrew, for sharing this with us. And Siddharth, we're back with you.
Yeah. So I'll share something which is very recent. So I'm leading a product it's called R Discovery, and the core of the product is a recommendation algorithm. So it helps you find the best research papers to read every day. That's for researchers, right? Now, search and recommendations, typically you believe that give the user what he has wanted, right? And that's it. So the core of the argument in our case, thinking that, hey,
Siddharth, we lost you. We lost you for like 5 seconds, but we're eager to know what you were saying. So can you please repeat your last sentence?
Yeah. So I was saying at the heart of the product is a recommendation. If the user is asking for something, you give him, right? But what we found that, hey, the user may not tell you everything every time, but you may want to results basis what he's been telling on the platform. So basically, the clickstream data, the data which is coming in via his behavior, can you make more sense from that and add to what the user has told you, and that can give you better results, right? So in a way, data which came in to us via these experiments and from some of the user feedbacks told us that every time when a user asks for something specific, that may not be the only indicator for you in a recommendation algorithm. But sometimes what he's not saying, but is coming as implicit, cues, may help you do better. So very recent thing, and has put us on the right track in terms of this product.
Very interesting. So we had like full cycles here, from a failure to somewhat of a win, somewhat of a failure, or not completed goal, and then a successful decision. So this is data product management, the real thing. Thank you very much, all of you. Gabriel, we are back with you with a question from Melanie, which I think that most of the audience is asking themselves right now, because she wants you to answer whether every company needs a data product manager.
Well, okay. So I'm going to divide this in my usual way to two. Every company, of course, needs product management to lead the direction, the strategic direction of the product. And every company needs to have data literacy at every level of the company. This is something like Netflix and other companies who decided that anybody can have access to data and anybody can have access to the information based on the data in order to bolster their decisions, or in order to validate that decisions, or in order to find some insights and offer new things, new products, new features, new ideas. So data literacy is something that is required from the CEO all the way to the people anywhere within the company. And just to make because I don't know the people here what they know or don't know, data literacy is merely the ability to communicate around the concepts, the processes, and the terms, the terminology around data. So if you're able to understand all of those things, you have data literacy at a certain level, and then you'll be able to factor in data into whatever decisions you're making. And therefore, a company needs data literacy at the product marketing department, at the executive level department, in the product management department, at, of course, accounting, at every level. So product management is required, data literacy is required, and data literacy is required with at the product management department, but throughout the entire company as well.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And Andrew, we are back with you. Are you ready for a question from Robert?
Yeah, let's do it.
Perfect. Robert is here to ask you, is that true that data product management is more of individual contributor role than one with a management track?
It's a good question. I think the cop-out answer maybe a little bit is it depends on the company, which I realize is not a great answer. I think this goes back a little bit to Gabriel's point as well. Like if a company has a product that's very reliant on data, and they have data literacy throughout the organization as like a core competency, at least in my experience talking to colleagues and from my own experience, like often you may see someone in leadership who has a specific title with relation to data. If not, the expectation there is that everyone has a level of data literacy, that they have an understanding up and down the organization of how data plays into the outcome of the product. Often I've found from my experience in the past, like when either hiring folks or being hired, is that a data product manager, if you have someone who's like specifically titled that or specifically has that role, often you may see someone at like a GPM or director level, depending on how the company is structured, of course, whose role may be to span across multiple teams in terms of helping them identify data in terms of how it applies to the different domains within that particular product organization. That's not to say that should be the only place where there's like a quote unquote management level. I think that each individual product manager should have a level of data acumen that they can act as that kind of data manager for their own particular domain or their own particular team with some level of effectiveness. It can be very valuable, I think, for a company, especially I won't mention the company just for various reasons, but I worked for a company whose product very much was 100% or 90% based on the accuracy of the data that they were able to provide. That was one of the particular main drivers of their revenue. And so in that case, there was a very specific management track in that instance because data and the accuracy of the data in particular was so valuable to that company that they invested very, very heavily into making sure that the data acumen across the board was very, very high. And to that point, made sure that they did have a management track available for folks either to be hired from the outside or to be promoted from within. I think that's a very long-winded way for me to kind of elaborate on it depends on the company. And I think, at least from my experience, it certainly depends on how much the culture of the company relies on data, or kind of what level of importance they put on data. If you'll see a data product manager or similar type of title or role be one that has a management track, or one that kind of, for lack of a better term, caps out at that like very, very high level IC role. I don't think either one is necessarily better or worse. I think it truly just does depend on the culture of the company that you'll be looking at.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you very much, Andrew, for this answer. And now we have another fantastic question. This one also goes to all of our panelists, all of the mentors. It comes from Alvarado, and here's asking, what are some best resources to learn about data product management? Andrew, we are going to start with you, and I'm also going to share with the audience that Andrew has some links to share with you, and we are going to share them in the chat. So Andrew, what are your thoughts? What are some of the best resources out there to learn about the subject?
Yeah, sure. And full disclosure, we did see this question ahead of time, so I did prepare a few links there, like you mentioned. So hopefully those are helpful. The way that I approached this was from two different areas. So we'll break it up into two different areas, like Gabriel has. First is if you're someone who's like looking at this and you're like, what is data product management? Like, do I even like this? Like, is this something I want to actually get better at? Is this a good fit for me? And in those cases, I think it's very helpful to start, frankly, in my opinion, to start looking at very basic, like 101 level data science, data analysis type courses or pieces of material that you can easily find online. I put a link there specifically. I've found a lot of value in something that Mind the Product, an organization, has put out for data-driven product management. There's a series of a few kind of free videos there, which I think is very helpful to give folks introduction to that, to see if that's something that they enjoy. I think folks who are already in a product management role and just kind of want to like level up, so to speak, right, and get better at data in terms of their day-to-day product capabilities. I found that this is just my personal way that I like to learn, is I found a lot of value in taking online courses, which obviously probably not a surprise there. There's plenty of them out there. I did provide an example to one there on Udemy that I've someone who I've worked with in the past, who is very smart in that particular area, which might be helpful with a very specific focus on that course to how data science and AI specifically relates to product management. So I think if you had to distill that into the TLDR, I think certainly look for those free resources with the example that I provided there, as well as if you're looking to kind of level up, I would look, and this is how, like I said, how I personally like to learn, I would look for some more structured courses on some of those course websites that are available out there.
Brilliant suggestions. Thank you very much. And as I said, the links are in the chat, waiting for our leaders to click on them and learn more. So thank you very much, Andrew. Siddharth, what do you have to share with the audience?
So I think Andrew gave a very detailed background about the resources. I would say, I think YouTube videos is the go-to place for me if I were to look at, some things around data product management. Courses, yes, definitely a lot of platforms, but I would also say data science and data engineering or data workflows related, content will be a very, very good value add for a person who is looking to, explore more on data product management. So yeah, I think that kind of rounds it up.
Absolutely right. Thank you very much. Gabriel?
I don't have any links, but I did search a while back for data product management, and I got a lot of hits. I think a lot of companies and entities, from data visualization to anything, are using this term. So I would suggest searching on Google for two things. One is, of course, data literacy, and the other one is data-driven decision-making. That's the generic skill that everybody needs. And there you will find all kinds of information, from entry level to super advanced. I believe that product managers do not need highly advanced data skills. I think they need to have the ability to communicate intelligently with data analysts and data scientists. The primary job of product managers is query formulations and to use the data or the information coming after the query was submitted in order to make product decisions. So having said that, the level of knowledge that we require in product management is not to be able to code and create algorithms and do all kinds of Python and things like that. You need to, it's a strategic, product management is a strategic role. So you need to be able to form these queries, these predictive, retrospective, all kinds of different queries about the information that you need. And once you get that information, make the product decision. So look for data literacy and DDDM, the data-driven decision making.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that. And now we are back with you, Siddharth, because we have another question to ask you. It comes from Noah, and she's asking, what knowledge does a PM need to have in order to specialize in data product management?
It's an interesting question, and I think Gabriel gave a very good sense that the product management knowledge is the key part. You don't need to be a coder to be excelling in data product management, but essentially what you need to have is to have a mindset around data science, around data engineering, so that you understand data the best, right? So how machine learning models work, how AI products evolve, products like recommender systems, search engines, analytics suites. These are things that you need to have a general curiosity for. You need to have slightly more understanding than superficial, right? You really have passion and understanding about how these work. And then in a nutshell, it's a combination of computer science, statistics, data analytics, and some tools which are associated with these disciplines, right? Which a lot of the product managers also go into in various degrees, right? Now, a large part is about understanding types of data and making use of it. That's a very specific skill, right? You need to understand how to profile users, and different types of data comes in, right? It may be GPS data, it may be biometrics data. What do you make out of that and how do you use it? So the core of it is to understand data and its application. And the other parts, the life cycle of a data product may be slightly different. So development of that product, you may need to go too much into conversations with a data scientist around specific engineering folks who are mastering in that, right? So you need to know the life cycle and development of data products, and obviously you need to understand users. You have to maintain your roadmap. The typical product management things come in. The last part, which I would like to emphasize, that you need to have a good understanding of the workflows. So basically, what can you do with data? What more can you do with data than what you're doing today? How can you get more data? What are those touch points? How do they feed in? And how do you use this additional data for the benefit of users? I think connecting these dots is a large part in all this, right? How does data flow into the system? Which all systems does it impact? And obviously, how do you take feedback and how do you act on it? How do you refine the product offering, right? Basis the user feedback. I think these are things which you need to have a better understanding of. I won't say specialize in, because there's nothing like, a degree or something in this. This more like, if you make yourself better and more acquainted with this, the more chances of you succeeding. So that would be something that I would focus on.
Spot on. Thank you very much for this detailed answer. And now, guys, we have a new concept to present with the question that was not asked, where we ask you, the mentors, to tell us what is the question that you wish for the audience to ask you, and we did not answer yet. But not only to ask the question, but also to answer the question and give us some insight that you think that we are missing. So who wants to start with the question that was not asked, something that you wish for the audience to ask you, and now you're going to just answer it?
I don't think that... go ahead, guys, because I think I copied questions that I didn't understand the concept. I copied questions from other people.
That's fine. We will deal with that. That's totally fine. Andrew, let's start with you.
Yeah, I'm happy to go. I think the question that I asked actually ends up playing, I think, fairly well tangentially to what the answer was for the previous question. And the question that I asked was, shouldn't all PMs be data driven? Like why do teams like need a data PM? I know that's something that I've asked myself in the past, and I figured folks might have a similar type of question. I think we've actually answered that. I won't go into too like explicit detail here because I think we've covered a lot of that through our other answers that we've had throughout the session so far. But essentially the way I think about that is the answer to, shouldn't all PMs be data driven, in my opinion, is yes. I think there's levels and varying degrees of data driven, data, acumen, I should say, depending on the role. Like you could have a very, very technical PM role that needs to have a significant amount of, data analysis or even some, crossover to like data science type capabilities or abilities. That's not always the case. I think the largest kind of value add that you can have if you have a very specific data PM type role within a product organization is it really reduces the I guess we'll use the phrase like the burden of data management, across like other individual contributors, right? It kind of frees them up in some respects to think about, other problems as opposed to data, because they can kind of lean on you as the data PM if you're working in that capacity. And it makes sure that folks are kind of focusing on the data that's going to drive the outcomes that they need, as opposed to, folks who maybe are a little bit less in the weeds, right? Or a little bit less tactically, within the confines of the data PM role, right? They may be a little bit outside of that. So I think it's very, very much a value add for folks in terms of, or for organizations in terms of if they have the ability to have a data PM and data is treated as a first-class citizen type situation, right? In their organization, I think it's very valuable. And I think in the cases where that's not the case, I do think that a lot of that can be augmented by PMs having a level of data acumen across the team, and like a base level data acumen capability there across an organization.
Spot on. Thank you very much. And I'll just summarize what you said. You can be a linchpin by being good data product manager. You can actually make yourself into a linchpin in the company. So thank you very much, Andrew, for that. Siddharth, what is the question that you wish for the audience to ask you?
I think a lot of people in the audience may have been thinking whether the data product management role is for them or who is it best suited to. I think that's one thing that I would say would have been in my mind. And as I think partially I covered it, that, you have to need to have a mindset around this, but largely an individual who just sees data products or data related problems in a different way. Let's say you're commuting and you're thinking about, oh, I'm in a traffic jam, right? But there is a lot of data which is being passed in the system about how traffic is on various routes. Can this be used to build a different kind of a product, solve a user problem? So these are people who are curious about it, right? And typically you need, product managers who are curious, who want to solve problems like this. And specifically, if you want to solve problems around data, using data, then I think that's the best role. So it's not about being a fresher, being experienced in a certain area, right? Just the mindset, the core problem solving skills.
That was beautiful. Okay. Thank you very much. Gabriel, I am going to go with what you said. Okay.
I have a question already that's been asked of me, so I need to answer that. So the question that was asked is, what is the starting point if a product manager wants to become more familiar with data, and where do I begin? So I think that the majority of, or perhaps everybody in the audience already has the skills. What you probably need is just to go online and do a refresher in statistics, like median and average and linear regression and margin of error and all these little things that have to do with statistics. And you need to learn Excel a little bit more with regard to what Excel can provide you. There's no need for, at the moment, to go into an expensive dashboard with all the dials and everything like that. There's no need for that at this point. So the starting point is just a refresher in basic statistics. It's really not that difficult. And learning about the statistical functions and the graphs, everything that are available to you within Excel. Once you do that, and if you know how to import a CSV file, it's like a text file, into Excel, you're on your way. And you can do magnificent things and very advanced things with Excel. Once you're familiar with the statistics and a little bit with how to manipulate the data in order to get the information, you can continue on from there.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you very much. And there was a beautiful question that was asked on our LinkedIn page. And for some reason, I can't present it, but I'm going to read it out loud to you guys. We have a question that is, what is your data stack? Specifically in the context of consumer subscription apps, if you have experience with that. It was asked by Matan. So thank you very much, Matan. Guys, what do you say? Do we have an answer to give the guy?
My data stack is SQL Server and Excel. I download everything. I don't need anything in real time. And if you know the statistics, within half an hour, you can get a result, or even less if you know what you're doing. So it's actually, you need to a little bit go before you download the data and upload it into Excel, formulate the right queries, try to figure out what you're trying to verify, what kind of data or what kind of information you need in support of the decisions. And that's it. So my data stack is the simplest there is.
I think that actually goes back to many of the things that we have to deal with in product management, where the solution is within the processes and the way we structure things, and less in the stack and the specific tools that we are using. Because once you know how to think the right way about, how to structure something, that this itself is like 80% of leading you to the right conclusion. So absolutely. Andrew, Siddharth, anything to add on that?
So mine is very similar.
I think Gabriel covered it well.
I think that once you're beyond the basic introductory stage, perhaps you could learn Python or work with somebody that knows Python, because then they can start to draw information from different relational databases and do some more advanced queries. And there's a whole range of different things like artificial intelligence and machine learning and things like that. But that's beyond the scope of our discussion at the point that this is for really advanced systems and for really complex, multivariate environments, from weather to calculating the price of an airline ticket or something like that.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I double down on, I think we mentioned it, is like, I'm pretty tool agnostic. Like, as long as I can get the information, I don't chase fads and new tools. It doesn't really matter to me. The thing I think that's most important here is, like, for folks who are working in data PM, unless they're very, very technical, it's more about making sure that you understand how to derive outcomes and understanding from the data, as opposed to the tools that you're using. Whether we use MySQL or whatever, it doesn't matter, as long as you understand how to use and actually drive the outcomes from that. That's typically where I would point someone who's like new to this and looking, make it a little bit of like analysis paralysis, right? In terms of looking at tools, like focus more on making sure that you have that background to make sure you can derive those outcomes first.
Spot
Definitely.
on. Yeah, thank you very much. And we have Ori here saying and sharing that data can be misleading, and has an anecdote about a previous case that he had before. Absolutely, data can be misleading as well. This is why you need to have the right processes at place, right? This is why you need to know how to think about things and to be experienced with this kind of stuff. This is exactly why. And he has a question to ask you. Do you have experience working with data sampling to reduce costs, specifically transport, storage, and compute? This is a very specific question. I wonder if you have anything to share. Who wants to answer?
I have no idea. I don't have any experience, and I don't have any idea how to answer this.
Yeah, I personally don't have experience there. I know we've worked with our data scientists in previous roles to work on those types of problems, but I personally don't have the knowledge there to answer that.
Yeah, that's super specific. Yes, Siddharth.
No, I think same in my case. No specific experience in this area.
And that happens, right? Because sometimes questions are just too particular. Okay, another question that we have from a LinkedIn viewer is, how important are technical skills to a data product manager compared to more traditional product management? Now, we are talking about technical skills here. We're not talking about the acumen that has to do with data and mathematics and stuff like that. Guys, what do you have to share?
I think so. So I think some amount of technical skills become more valuable in terms of a data product management. If you understand, for example, AI and a recommender system, how it works, slightly behind the scenes of the finer details, it becomes more easier for you to build those products. And when you collaborate with your team, when you think about it, getting to your outcomes, you're better prepared. If you know these skills, you can drive things much better. So some specific skills, but they play a role.
Yeah, I would agree there. I
Absolutely.
think
Andrew?
apologies. Yeah, I think I agree there. I think there's you can almost just like summarize it with, there's a baseline level of knowledge that I think is very helpful to have in terms of technical ability. Like, we've mentioned like MySQL and stuff like that, queries and statistics and basic level understanding there, I think is very helpful because that's widely applicable at the majority of companies. And I think depending on the role, you may find yourself needing to kind of, refresh your knowledge or maybe learn some things based on the specifics of the role that you're asked. But I think a baseline is in my opinion, very important to get you to that first stage.
Yeah, I think the majority of the people in product management, particularly in technology companies, are technically minded, and they're not so fearful of using computerized tools or different types of software applications. So I don't think that with regard to the question, I think that the baseline, whether you're doing data type of product management or regular product management, is basically the same, like Andrew mentioned.
I agree with you guys. And now we have another question from LinkedIn as well. This is a long one, so we are going to answer the fourth part of it, where Arjun is asking, can a refresher, okay, someone who just got out of university, can get an opportunity in data product management? What do you think? Is that a role for someone who has been in another role, either traditional product management or traditional data science role first, or this is something that you can go just straight out of college?
Okay. I think this is a general career question, and it could be applied to anything. You could volunteer, you can become an intern, you can find entry-level positions at a lower salary, you can begin in startups or some kind of a company where everybody's doing 3 or 4 different things, and you need to, though, to prepare yourself, like we said, with data literacy and things like that, in order to be entrusted with the capacity to do product management, data-driven or data-related product management. But this is more of a career question. It's not very specific to product management or to data product management. How do we get into? It's usually either you get lucky or somebody trusts you, or you take a low entry-level position at a reduced salary, and then you start working your way up after some time that you gain knowledge and experience. So it's mostly a career question, but I hope I've answered it as well.
I agree with you, Gabriel, but I think we're missing a point here, because I think the question is whether this is the right move. I don't think this question is about, is that the right thing for someone who's just, out of university or college, doesn't have experience in another role? Is that the right place to start? Or should we recommend that person to start within traditional product management or another role first, and then to transition into the data product management role? I think this is the more interesting question here.
Okay, so first of all, I need always to divide it because data product management is misleading in my opinion. So let's just talk a little bit about product management. It used to be in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s in the United States that the engineers became the executive management. Then there was the financial people, the CFO during the 70s. Then there was the marketing people in the 80s and the salespeople during the late 80s. And then from the 90s and beyond, product management has become the management reserve from which companies pull their future executives and future leaders, as they say. So I think from a career perspective, to move into product management, regardless if it's B2B or data or whatever you want to qualify it in front of it, is the right move if you're looking for an executive level management position down the line, down the road in your career. Data, as we said before, is a skill. Data literacy is a skill. And it's become more and more acute during these days because there's an enormous flow of data coming from everywhere. And not only that, that software companies who have transitioned to lightweight software development, which is rebranded as Agile in 2001, the iterative approach demands that product managers make data-driven product decisions with each sprint, with each iteration. So if you're going to be in software, and particularly a company with who is subscribed to lightweight software development, you have to know data. But you first need to go into product management, and then you need to develop a whole range of skills, communication skills, critical thinking skills, and data-driven decision-making skills.
Very interesting. Thank you very much, Siddharth. Andrew, anything to add?
Go ahead, Siddharth. I saw you unmute.
Yeah, I think it's well covered, but I would say being a fresher or 1 or 2 years of experience or 10 years of experience, it gives you better skill set. But whether you'll be successful in that role at the start of your career or later, that depends upon your mindset. How good are you with data in general, right? You don't need to have a professional experience in order to excel with data. Just that you like data, you know how to do things with it. You have a bent of mind that with this data you can do X, Y, Z. And that's a curious thing about product managers, right? You see the problem statements, you know how you can twist your way around, you can find solutions to it, and the data product manager will have to look at one more dimension, as I said, right? So I don't think it's a deterrent, but as Gabriel said, if you start in a product role and gradually you develop your skills around data, you may get into a more successful position down the line, right? So yeah, I mean, it's not a no, but it's better to start with some particular skills around product and then move.
Yeah, I think I would tend to agree with both of what you both mentioned. Like, I think from the most successful product managers I've seen is they've started very early building up like their product chops, so to speak, and then went into a specialization after that point. Once they had those core competencies down, because a lot of the soft skills in product come from experience and working in the role, in a company. So I think that would be my advice. Certainly I can't tell you, what to do, but that would be my advice, right? In terms of, go out, get a entry level or basic kind of level product job, make sure that you like it. A lot of folks find that they may not, once they get into the actual role, they may like data more than the actual product portion. I've seen folks that's happened for. And so, yeah, get that role, get some experience there. And then as you get that under your belt, like I find it, from a lot of folks that I've worked with, with, I wouldn't say relative ease, but there are opportunities to move over to more of a data role down the road.
It's never easy. Never is, but I think your answer was brilliant. So thank you very much, Andrew. Guys, I had such a great time. I enjoyed our session so much. I enjoyed the questions. I enjoyed your answers. I enjoyed the discussion. The whole thing. How was it for you?
Oh, I enjoyed it very much. And I think it was a very good discussion because we all have our own entrenched mindset and own perspectives. And I think it was very beneficial, not only for the audience, but also for me, to have a very amicable and friendly discussion where everybody presented their own views. And I learned something today, so it was good for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think very, very, very helpful. Yeah. We've all got experience in product in name, but the intricacies behind that title was a lot of fun to kind of find out between the different panelists, for sure.
Yeah, that's where the magic happens, right? When three different professionals are discussing product management. Thank you very much, guys. From United States, this was Andrew Elliott, lead product manager at Attentive and product league mentor. From Tel Aviv, Israel, Gabriel Steinhardt, founder and author at Blackblot, Managers Toolkit and product league mentor, of course. And from Mumbai, India, Siddharth Varshney, business head of research and discovery product suite at Cactus Communication and product league mentor. I'm Maria Cassis. These guys, these magnificent mentors are Product League. This is the league. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. Can't wait to support you and answer all your questions in our next Ask Me Anything session. And until then, go league it up. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.